Welcome, family. Apostle Takim explained why it is dangerous for believers to go to the mountain that people goes to pray, like a secret place to meet God there. He explained the dangers of going to such place to pray. So watch this video. I'll be right back.
Realm that are not of God, demonic things in the spirit realm, and that brings me to why the doctrine of going to the mountain is dangerous to the believers of today. Why it is dangerous to the believers of today. Apart from making sure people never ascend the realm of faith, it has other dangerous consequences. Satan will prefer us using what look like than what it is. He will prefer us using what look like than what it is. He will prefer us going to mountains that come into the realm of faith. As we have seen the book of look at the way God does things. He brought a realm of faith on the mountain that Jesus took the disciples to. That mountain used to be Mount Horeb. That was the very place Moses encountered God at first when he saw the burning bush around that environment. He took the ship to those mountains to find something to graze, and he came across the encounter that sent him to Egypt. And God told him that as a sign that he spoke to him, they will come back to that mountain to worship. So the same mountain was where they got to. So it has different names in scriptures. You hear Horeb, you hear Sinai. They're all in the same region. It may not be one mountain, it may be spreading all over. You hear Horeb, you hear Sinai. Now you also discover Elijah. It was the same mountain he went when God fed him twice, and he walked for 40 days. And it was when he got there he received the mandate to eliminate Baal, or let me say the strategy to eliminate Baal. So it was also on the same mountain that Jesus took Peter, James and John to, who later became the leaders of the church. The first leader of the church was James. When Herod killed him, Peter took over. When Peter died, John took over. And John was the one who wrapped up that first 100 years of the church that was full of accuracy. It was an apostolic entity. After John died, years later, depreciation entered the church. So those three. Now if you look at it, the three men I've mentioned, Moses, Elijah, and Jesus, when they got to Moses' days, you see the cloud descending on the mountain. Elijah days, you see earthquake. God released earthquake, God released other things, and he now went to stand, and he now had God in a still small voice. So you see physical manifestations. Now in Jesus' days, you see the cloud descending, and you see Moses and Elijah again appearing to him on the same spot. That tells you God opened a portal there. Do you understand me? And another thing is telling us, I'm showing you the physical, I'm bringing the spiritual effect on the physical, so that you understand that the physical is speaking about the spiritual. So that when you now come under the dispensation of grace, you separate between the chaff and the wheat. The chaff is the physical mountain. The wheat is what it means, which is a realm of faith. Moses stepped into the realm of faith. That's why he came back with a tablet of stone. Elijah stepped into the realm of faith. That's why he came back to recruit Elisha. Jesus stepped into the realm of faith. That was why he came down. He was able to cast the spirit out. So that is God telling us the mountain signifies a realm of faith. So if we keep going after the significance of it have been made clear to us, then we are engaging ourselves in a lot of dangerous things. Last night the Lord spoke to me, and I never knew that before in my life, that people can go to the mountains to pray, as is happening right now, and get their destinies locked up. That's what I said to me last night. I was so shocked about it. I've not thought about that before. That people have been going to mountains, and when they go there to pray, they don't come back the same. They get their destinies locked up. I never knew there was such captivity. Me, I thought it was just interaction with unclean spirit. And he began to speak to me about that. That is why and I begin to look at the scriptures, certain things I'm going to share with you today, you see, the enemy will prefer us going to the physical than the spiritual. The spiritual mountain is a realm of faith. It has nothing to do with the physical. Do you understand what I'm saying? Let me take you through some things that happened in Bible days, so long as mountain worship is concerned. You see, when God began to show me about how people get captured on the mountains, how destinies are locked up, and how access code to the spirit realm is open into people's lives when they go there, the spirit realm of Satan, and how they receive certain things. I saw them like nails. I saw the things like nails being driven into their bodies when they go to those mountains to pray. And I begin to ask the Lord, so I begin to realize, this is why I have the passion to talk against this mountain thing, because I never saw it in that light before. In the place of study and in the place of prayer, the Lord now showed me the unique captivity of mountain worship in Kenya, and why he stirred my spirit to scream against going to the mountains in Kenya. Are you understanding me? Of course, there is a lie that is being spread in certain circles here in Kenya about the Mount Kenya. The nation was named from that mountain. That's what I realized. And there have been mountain worship before Christianity came. And the Lord showed me that the ancient spirits have been loosed. And that's why people are going back to the mountain. Why were they loose, Lord? He said, because many years ago, there were righteous men in this nation whose righteousness bounded those spirits and paralyzed their activities. And the Lord said that was the Hezekiah generation. He said when they died, some of them were ministers of the gospel. He said when they died, the spirit was loosed. Because it is the purity of the saints that bind demons. So when the spirits were loosed, they begin to parade themselves in the church and other places. In the church, they begin to stir preachers to preach about going to mountain for prayers, because the spirits are looking for worship. So that's why you see there's an increase of mountain worship in the church, going to the mountain, and people are defending it because the spirits have entered them to defend it. That's what the Lord said to me. The spirit have entered them to defend it, to serve as elders at the gate, to defend it and make sure whoever cry against it is resisted. And now say it's not just speaking the church, speaking the secular, in other strata of the nation also. So I remember one day I saw the former deputy president going to, it was a photo facing the mountain and things like that. And you see, look at the scripture some of them use. Zechariah chapter 3, Zephaniah chapter 3. They claim this is referring to Kenya, and they use it to go to the mountain. Zephaniah chapter 3. But we're going to realize that it had nothing to do with Kenya. It has nothing to do with Kenya. Zephaniah is after Habakkuk, before Haggai. So Zephaniah chapter 3 verse 9. For then I will restore to peoples a pure language. He's talking about the restoration of the prayer language, that they all may call on the name of the Lord, to serve him with one accord. In fact, if you have my kind of Bible, you will see it is titled Israel's cleansing. This is the cleansing of the church. It's not referring to Kenya, but I'll tell you why it says Kenya. It said, from beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my worshippers, the daughters of my dispensed one, shall bring my offering. So this is why they say it is Kenya. It's because they say Kenya is beyond Ethiopia. And the man said, in that day, you shall not be ashamed for any of your deeds in which you transgress against me. For then I will take away from your midst those who rejoice in your pride, and you shall no longer be haughty in my holy mountain. So they now call Mount Kenya the holy mountain, because they said beyond Ethiopia is Kenya. So Mount Kenya is the holy mountain. So that's why people go there to lift up their hands. That's what I saw when I was studying about these things. Now, listen carefully. Look at what the white man wrote about Mount Kenya. Listen. He said, Mount Kenya is a legend. Speak of Mount Kenya to be a dwelling place of gods. Gods, Gods, dwelling place of gods. That's unclean spirit. He said, especially where it speak, scrap the heavens, the place that the cloud descends. They said that's where the gods live. Now you go and face a thing that the gods live, but in your heart you are calling it a holy mountain of God. And by the time you face, by the time you are doing whatever you are doing, the impact you get from those gods will be registered on your life. And there are no words to describe what the result will be. Standing on a scripture that is referring to Israel, historically Israel, prophetically the end time church. Everywhere you see in the Bible, my holy mountain, is talking about the church. Mount Zion, not Mount Kenya. But the gods that dwell on the mountain needs worship. They crave for worship. And the righteous men that binded their activities have died. So the gods are not parading by the church. Wherever they encourage going to the mountain to pray, these gods lives there. Any church that encourages going to mountain to pray, these gods live there. And why it's very dangerous for Kenya is because the foundation of the nation was rooted in that mountain. So when you now ask believers to go to any mountain within this nation, even outside, so long as you promote the mountain worship, you are connecting them to these gods. Are you understanding what I'm saying here? Listen carefully. They believe, from what I studied, that the cloud that shroud the summit of the mountain are a blessings, and they are the harbinger of rain that nourishes the land of Kenya. So they believe that the prosperity of the nation is coming from that mountain. But physically, there are two rivers that cut into that mountain. You get my point? So it is just a natural phenomenon that God planted there, that spirits have taken over, and they are swaying the heart of people to worship the invisible thing. I mean, the spirit in the invisible realm. I want you to understand, if Christ is not in the heart of people, they can worship other gods. If Christ is not in the heart of people, they can worship other gods. So this is why the mountain worship today is very, very destructive. Very, very destructive to the believer. Under the shadows, even when they were going to mountains, look at their understanding. When our fathers were going to mountain to pray, look at their understanding. Right, number one. In Bible days,
drop it in the comment section. Let's interact. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, and share. God bless.